What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So occasionally a prototype build for a game will leak online, and it's really cool to see because we'll find out, okay, this was removed from the game, this was added in during development up until the release date. Well, over the weekend, over 700 different builds of PS2 games were shared online, and it is super impressive stuff. We're gonna talk about that here today. Also, it looks like another game has been delayed, this being a big release for 2021, now being pushed all the way to 2022. And you've probably heard the name Tencent throughout gaming here, investing in a ton of different studios and publishers. Well, a recent patent was starting to circulate online and is actually bringing up the question of, is Tencent thinking about making their own gaming system? Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new to the Small Life channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're gonna start today with Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster. We were expecting a release date to be made official for the West over the weekend, and it was. It is May 25th, once again, as expected. However, we did also get a look at the digital deluxe edition that we can see here from Atlus and Sega, with press releases being set all over the place. It does look like this will have the Maniacs pack for their in-game content, and the strange thing about this one is that has Dante, who was added into the international version of the game and just later versions overall of Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. But according to the press release, this from Eurogamer, that will be locked behind the digital deluxe edition, at least at this point, which is strange. I thought they would have just had that in the game itself, or maybe as DLC that's separate from the standard game. That could still be something they do there. Also, they will be having an early access part for this. If you get the digital deluxe edition, which is $20 more, you'll be able to start playing it on May 21st. And all in all, it will take up 8.5 gigabytes of space on your Switch. So just have to look forward to the end of May, and I'll be curious about that whole Maniacs pack thing, because it does seem kind of strange that that's the decision they would go with, but we'll see what happens there. Also, we did talk about Nier Automata going to Game Pass for PC and how the version of the game was much better than what was on Steam. In fact, QLock apparently ported the game again, this over to Windows Store Game Pass for PC. So Steam users naturally weren't too happy about it. I really wouldn't expect them to be happy because, like, they're looking at the Windows Store and Game Pass PC getting this much better version. They've been kind of living with this this strange version of the game, one that has not seen much updating at all. In fact, right now the community has had to create like an entire tool just to fix the game. It's very interesting stuff there. But what did you think was going to happen? Review bombing, that's right. If we head over here to PC Gamer, they did take some screenshots of it. And I mean, you can see right where all the review bombing came in, and yeah, all the descriptions are pointing to, hey, why is there a better version of this game existing right now and not on Steam? I bought this game so long ago and dealt with all of these issues, and I mean, they have a point. Like, I don't understand why Square isn't updating this game when there's clearly a better version out there that doesn't require a ton of community support to make it work well. It's strange stuff. We'll see. I kind of think that Square will do something about that, but they haven't yet, so who knows. Oh, and last week we did see the Avengers get their big next-gen free update, which was cool and all, and they showed off some content coming up, which includes Black Panther and a new expansion there. But something was missing. In fact, if we take a look at the roadmap right here, we can see from left to right, it goes from March, spring, summer, and beyond. And okay, looks pretty straightforward here, but wait a minute. We're missing Spider-Man, and that was a question that came up quite a bit online. Where is Spider-Man exactly? That's supposed to be the reason I bought this on, say, the PS5 over the Xbox or even on PC. It's supposed to be the exclusive character. And apparently, Spider-Man is not going to be showing up until at least after War for Wakanda expansion with Black Panther. And for all we know right now, that could be like towards the end of 2021. So Spider-Man might not be showing up until 2022, which is kind of strange because it did look like Spider-Man would show up midway through 2021, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. But yes, if you picked up this game like really early because they talked about Spider-Man, how it's only going to be on the PlayStation, you're kind of sitting here with the Avengers game that you've probably already beaten and realize, wow, Spider-Man might not be out for like a year and a half after launch of this game, maybe longer than that. And that is a character I would like to go back and play in the Avengers just to see if I could actually have fun with it. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with all of these prototypes just dropping online for the PS2. We can head over here to Twitter. This from PPG saying around 747 PS2 prototypes have just been released by text files in Hidden Palace. Some of the highlights include Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Lego Star Wars, Persona 3, Ratchet & Clank, Tai, Final Fantasy X-2, and yes, Shadow of the Colossus. Allegedly, Hidden Palace plans to release big collections of prototypes for other systems in the future, could be similar in volume. Now, if you're wondering how this happened, if we head over here to Video Games Chronicles, we can see several quotes that kind of explain the process and really how they came about all of these different prototypes, because they were in disc format. And there are also a lot of pictures of the discs as well that we could take a look at. First though, let's take a look at kind of how the story was broken down, where they say these aging items were miraculously rescued from being destroyed, thrown away, or sold through the Herculean efforts of one person. This person not only took on the task of backing up everything in their possession single-handedly, but was so overwhelmingly kind enough to let us look at and preserve each item in his collection with no strings attached. We would like to thank all the members of the Project Deluge team for helping us with this project so far. Without your help, it would have taken eons for anything to come about. As this lot is an actively ongoing project, we do not have a tentative release schedule. However, be prepared for the next part of the lot real soon. More is on the way, so hang on tight. Also, here are several images of the different discs that they had to then rip so that they could upload and archive these. And these are from G Money. And check these out. Some of these, it looks like they actually went pretty far with the artwork on top of the disc. Others, they kind of just like wrote what was on the disc and like that was it. Basically what we do, back in the day with these DVD-Rs or CD-Rs, where we'd kind of write down what disc we just burned or what game we copied or any of that. It's interesting to see the differences here. I can only assume some of these were probably presented on E3 showroom floors to PR, and they had to go around and, okay, we're going to pop this in this system, and this one's labeled this way, and it had to be more presentable than kind of passing it around the office. But this is super cool. And there are also a lot of videos now, because you can go and download these and burn them to discs and pop them in a PS2 that can, of course, play burn games or any modded PS2s, I guess, that can play off of like flash media or flash drives, any external drives, anything like that. But what's great is, yes, these are being archived currently, and you can try them yourself right now. I will link to the page down in the sources where you can go do that. And yes, Shadow of the Colossus is in there. That is a big talking point for a lot of people, because a lot of us are wondering, okay, if it's an older build or a different build, are some of those colossi that have been talked about at length, could they be there? Are there new ones? Like that is a whole thing right now around that. So it's really cool just to get a whole nother build of it. And my favorite part when I was looking through this, there are several E3 demo builds. So I guess builds that they were showing off at E3 when you go there to a booth and you get to play a walled off section of the game. You could technically download it and try it out and be like, oh, this is how it was at E3 in like 2002 or something when they were showing it off. It's cool stuff, but seeing over 700 of these get ripped and then dumped online, and you can try them out just right now, and more are coming. This is such a cool thing to see. So hats off to everyone involved here with Project Deluge. I will be checking some of these out myself as we go through, and here's hoping we see some more cool stuff come out of it. Next up, let's talk about a big game delay that was announced over the weekend. This one for Gotham Knights. We can head over here to Twitter, where they say Gotham Knights will now launch worldwide in 2022. We are giving the game more time to deliver the best possible experience for players. Thank you to our amazing fans for your tremendous support of Gotham Knights. We look forward to showcasing more of the game in the coming months. And this was interesting because there was a lot of talk around this game when they did the gameplay demo, and they showed it off quite a bit. And then it went quiet for a while there. In fact, I think a lot of people forgot this game was even coming out this year at all. So seeing this delay, it's not too surprising, considering, once again, everything we've talked about here with remote work and COVID and things really just being thrown through a loop right now with development. But it is seemingly a lot easier to delay a game and make that announcement in a post-Cyberpunk world, because when this happened, I saw a lot of people say, yeah, take all the time you need. We don't want another Cyberpunk. And that's the Cyberpunk effect right now on the entire gaming industry. People just don't want a game to be rushed to market and come out bad. So yes, I guess Cyberpunk did really make it a lot easier for these developers and publishers to really have a second thought about, okay, is this game actually ready? Because we probably can delay it with minimal backlash. And yes, this is probably a game that, if it was having a harder time in development with remote work, could use that delay and that extra time. If it wasn't coming out until late 2021 anyway, there's chances maybe pushed like 5 or 6 months, say. So it could end up being a smaller delay than's really being shown here, but we'll see exactly how long that delay was when we do eventually get that release date, which might not be until early next year. Anyway, and I'm also curious if this will kind of mess up the overall release schedule with Suicide Squad, because that would be coming out after this, I assume. Is that getting pushed? A lot of questions here. But yeah, Gotham Knights looks like we'll be seeing that one in 2022. Next up, let's talk about Tencent and an interesting patent that was making the rounds throughout the weekend. And we can see it here along with Daniel Med, who I saw this tweet kind of showcasing it, saying Tencent obtained a patent for a PC video game console today, which was originally submitted in October 2020. The images show that the console adopts a similar design to the Nintendo Switch, but has Windows 10 related buttons and would likely run Windows PC games. And it doesn't appear that the sides are detachable. It's kind of hard to say 100% from these images because it could of course change in development once again, and maybe they do want it to be able to, okay, want these to be able to slide off of the tablet part itself. But yes, it does have a striking resemblance to something like the Switch Lite in that case, but it does have like a Windows button. So I would look at this and say, okay, maybe Tencent was thinking we'll make our own GPD Win style, system where it would be able to play Windows games on Steam. And we've seen quite a few of those all over the place. And I feel like none of them catch on to like mainstream use at all because they end up being kind of pricey. The big thing about the Switch, it's $300 or less, $200 even for the Switch Lite. A lot of these little PC systems end up being $500, $600, $700. That Alienware UFO probably would have been over $1,000, right? If they really brought that to market, but they just showed off a concept and so far have kind of just kept it moving after that. So looking at Tencent and what they own right now, could they make a run at their own game console or game system with an ecosystem, even if it's like a handheld like this? Maybe. I mean, they own, 100% of Riot Games. Actually, we can see the list of all the different investments they have here and some of the different stakes that they have in companies with 100% of Riot Games, 100% of Funcom, 100% of Leo, Shark Mob. And the big one that I think a lot of people point to is that they have a 40% ownership stake in Epic Games, but like, I don't think that's enough in terms of development power to be like, yes, we have our own system and you can only get these games here. Unless they really tried to pull something like that with League of Legends, which wouldn't be a great idea on their part because, everyone who's playing is mostly on Windows, right? And that's a large user base that would then have to go to Tencent's own system. So I kind of look at this as them saying, let's see if we could make one, let's patent it, let's see how this would work out in R&D because we might be able to sell it and just try to increase the overall user base and overall convenience for people who want to play League of Legends maybe on the go with a portable device like this. I don't think they're necessarily going to test the market when it comes to creating their own console with an ecosystem. Do they have the money to do that? Yes, they do. But we've seen what happens when big companies with a ton of money try to make it work and, Google shut down their studios and who knows what's going on with Amazon. So, hey, if Tencent wants to try, they could probably do a better job than Google or Amazon when it comes to creating an ecosystem overall in their own system, but I don't think it would be like extremely successful. They are currently right now anyway distributing the Switch in China, so that would be a very interesting and awkward conversation to have with Nintendo though, wouldn't it? In our last bit of news, let's talk about South by Southwest and some of the winners that they had for their different game awards. That does include the Game of the Year. So, who do you think won Game of the Year? Remember, we just saw like Last of Us Part 2 basically sweep at the Game Awards. Ghost of Tsushima's right up there, even Animal Crossing, right? Well, turns out it was Hades. That's right. We can take a look at the page here that goes through all of the different winners. Hades for Video Game of the Year. That is awesome stuff there to see Hades take home the Game of the Year against some pretty big games. So I'd say that's an underdog win right there. Awesome stuff. Indie Game of the Year, Deep Rock Galactic. Tabletop Game of the Year, The Search for Planet X. VR Game of the Year, Half-Life Alyx. Matthew Crump Culture Innovation Award goes to Dreams. Excellence in Animation Art and Visual Achievement goes to Tsushima. Excellence in Game Design, Hades once again. Excellence in Score, Ori and the Will of the Wisp. That's a very good choice actually right there. Excellence in Multiplayer, Deep Rock Galactic. Excellence in Narrative, The Last of Us Part 2. Excellence in Audio Design, Doom Eternal. And then Excellence in Technical Achievement is Microsoft Flight Simulator. So big win there for Hades. Awesome to see it get recognition at one of these Game Awards shows like South by Southwest. It is an awesome game, and if you have not tried it, you should. It's been on sale a couple of times, so you have no excuse at this point. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're going to look at the poll poll that I posted up yesterday where I asked, are you interested in VR for PS5 after seeing the controllers? 55% of you said, yes, I want to see what Sony will do with the headset. 34% of you said, no, I'm not interested in the idea of VR. And 12% of you said, I like VR, but I'm sticking with a different headset. And I have to admit, I was a little surprised 55% of you said, yes, I'm actually interested in this after seeing those controllers, because generally when I see VR as this niche product, and I just don't see as many people interested in it versus like, a new system or a new game or something coming out. VR just kind of is off to the side on its own, but it's pretty cool to see how it could evolve if Sony does it correctly. Like if they really work on that headset and it's sleeker, it's smaller, it's really easier to use, I would say. Off to a good start with one cable right now, right? And if they continue to innovate a bit further with it, I mentioned on the podcast this weekend, I would like to see them do something with haptic feedback, for example, in the headset itself. I believe that's been talked about, but picture having raindrops being like felt on your head through haptic feedback, and they could use sound, for example, from the headset, kind of mimicking the idea and the sensation of that along with these controllers. So if Sony can figure out some cool, innovative ways to make you more immersed in the game, I think VR could actually catch on a bit more coming from PlayStation VR to PlayStation VR 2. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Agan Zagan saying, I still can't get used to the new outro music. I saw this a lot in the comments where people are noticing that the outro music has changed, which, hey, thanks for watching all the way through to the end of the video. Appreciate that one. But we actually had to change that out of necessity because some company randomly now is just claiming that sci-fi track all of a sudden, which it's a lot of videos that they're claiming, but YouTube's made it a little easier. It'll basically auto-detect where the music is because they have to like timestamp it, and YouTube will just mute it, which is just pretty cool because then it just releases the claim immediately. So if there's any old videos where I'm taking something apart and it's just dead silent, that track was probably playing. So, that should make some of those old videos a bit more awkward. It's always fun there. But yeah, just in case there's any massive controversy out there as to why the outro music changed and it turns into outro music gate, it's because some company started claiming it. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. Whereas all of these PS2 prototypes being shared online. It's really cool to see this, and let me know if you went through it yourself, maybe even tried some of these ones out. Also, what about Gotham Knights being pushed now from 2021 all the way until 2022? And then Tencent. Do you think they could actually make their way into the gaming console space? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.